Hello, my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. It's also Friday Fun Day. And I have a really fun project for us today. This is the Lucky Clover Washcloth. It measures 10 by 10 inches, and it's the perfect thing to have around the house, of course, for St. Patrick's Day. It's super pretty, super easy, except for this particular portion here where we make the puffy clovers. It is not hard. I walk you through every step of the way, and I know that you can do it. I really know you can, and you'll want to, because it is super pretty. I also think it's too pretty to use to wash the dishes or the bathtub or your body. You should set it out and make it a beautiful decoration for St. Patrick's Day. Now you can find that complete pattern on our blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. Well, to make our Lucky Clover washcloth, you only need a few things. You need about 1.5 ounces of a green, an orange, and a white. Now this green is called Vintage Green. It's by Crafter's Secret from Hobby Lobby. This orange is called Papaya. And they're both what I would call a little bit of a muted green, which I really love for this. But you could use bright green or lime green or any shade of orange that you want to. All right, and then you also need about 1.5 ounces of white, basic white. Although if you wanted it to be a little more antique-y looking, you could go with an off-white. See, color choices are always up to you. But these are the ones I used. Crafter's Secret, 100% cotton, 1.5 ounces of these 3 different colors. All right, and we're going to be stitching today with our H hook, which is a 5mm crochet hook. And then all you need besides that is a needle. All right, let's get started. Alrighty, so I'm starting with my white. I brought my green mat out because, of course, my table is white and you won't be able to see it. Okay, so we're going to begin with our color 1, which is white. We're going to make our slip knot, and we're going to chain 28 chains. And I do recommend, as always, that you stitch this initial chain just a little bit loose, because if it's too tight, the bottom of your washcloth is going to pucker in a little bit. We don't want that. All right, so loosely chain 28 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have chained my 28 chains just a little bit loose. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, 1, 2. And then we're going to stitch a single crochet in the next 2. I've got my orange out here because we're going to do that checkerboard pattern with the white and the orange. All right, so I'm going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next, and then I'm going to stitch a 3rd one, only I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to bring in my color 2, which is my papaya orange, to finish that stitch. All right, now we're going to let that tail drop, and when we stitch across here, we'll be stitching over the yarn we're not using. All right, so we have 3 single crochets. Now we'll go to the next one, and see how that's kind of loose? Just give that a little bit of a pull. So there's 1, 2, and then on the 3rd one, we'll start it and finish it with our color 2, or color 1, because we're stitching with color 2. And so what you're going to do across here is alternate 3 single crochets, and on that 3rd stitch, we're going to be changing back to the other color. All right, so we're stitching over the color we're not using. We're trailing it along. So 1, 2, 3, change to color 2. I always kind of give it a little bit of a pull, not too hard, just enough to get those stitches where they need to be. 1, 2. Then on the third one, we'll finish it with color 1. Snug it down. 1, 2, 3. And I always give it a little bit of a pull before I finish with that new color, and then snug it down again. That's going to help that stay just a little bit neater and tighter. Okay, so we'll just finish this across. 1, 2, 3. Change to color 1. And your yarn will get twisted, and I twist it after untwist it after every row that it gets twisted. Some of them it won't because we're just stitching across. But when we're changing colors like this, your yarn has a tendency to get twisted. One, 2, change to the white, and now we just have 3 stitches left here on the end. I'm going to drop that orange because when we turn, we'll be stitching white coming back up. But we're leaving it on, of course. We're just dropping it. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to chain 1. All right, so let's take a look at what we did here. All right, so we stitched across. So we have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 of our single crochets in the white, and 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 in the orange. And so we're at 27 single crochets because remember, we started in the second chain from the hook. And this is the way that row 1 should look. You've still got your orange yarn attached. Here's where we started with the white. Here's where we started with the orange. And it's really good to note this because you're going to know that when you're on this side where your tail of yarn is, that's the back of your work. Okay? All right. So this is how row 1 should look. Let's do row 2. So we've chained 1. We're going to turn our work. We're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. The chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we'll go right in that first stitch. 1, 2. We're going to start. And remember, we're on the back side of our work. So bring your yarn to the back. And we'll bring in our color 2. All right. And so now we're going to do those 3 single crochets, stitching over our white yarn. And then change colors on that 3rd stitch again. And this is how you get nice crisp blocks. And so we're just going to continue this across the same way that we did row 1. We're going to stitch 3 of each color. On the 3rd single crochet, we'll change to the next color, snug everything down, and keep going. And make sure you stitch over that yarn that we're trailing across. All right, there we go. All righty. And see how we're getting nice crisp blocks? All right, so we'll just finish this row. And you may have to pull it a little tighter than you usually do. You want to make sure those yarns that we're trailing don't droop. But also don't pull it too tight where it puckers up on you. Alrighty, so we've got 3 more of the orange. 1, 2. See, we're getting twisted, and I'll untwist it at the end of the row. All right, now on this row, because we're going to be switching to orange at the beginning of the next row, we're going to go ahead and trail over it to the end. That way we're where we need to be to start row 3, because we're going to be doing the opposite. There we go. And now we'll bring in our orange. We'll drop our white, slide that down there, and chain 1. And again, this is the back of our work. So that's why you have this tail here, and that's going to tell you when you're working that this is the back. So here's the back. Let's flip it around so you can see the front. All right? And so that's how row 2 is done. So on row 2, we had the same number of colors. And remember, every row is going to have 27 stitches. Okay? So now we're going to do row 3. So we want to make sure we stitch over our white. So we're going to go around that white, stitch our first single crochet. Remember, chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we're going to stitch another single crochet. Now we're going to start the next one. And just like we did previously, we're going to finish with that color and bring in 3 single crochets. And then on that third one, we're stitching to the, or switching, we're still stitching to the other color. All right. And so really we're doing the same thing. We're just doing it in different colors so that we're alternating it so it looks like a little bit of a checkerboard. And it's real important that you change that color on that third single crochet, because if you don't, you'll have a loop of the wrong color going across. In other words, if I went ahead and did this in white and then changed colors, this next one would have the top loop in the wrong color. All right? And so we want to bring in that next color so that we have nice, crisp squares. Nice, crisp blocks of color. I don't think they're actually squares. They're more of a rectangle. Oops, got to finish in the next color. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to finish this across. We're going to chain 1 and turn and then repeat it back across so that we have 2 rows. Like we have 2 rows here, you'll have 2 rows here with alternating colors. All right? It just makes a really nice little checkered spot there on the bottom of our washcloth. So finish this row and then do 1 more. So I have completed row 3 and then I did row 4. And again, we have 27 single crochets and we alternated our blocks. Isn't that cute? Now you can see I've got a little bit of unwinding to do, but we're not going to be using the orange for a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and cut the orange off. We will be bringing it back in, but the space is too far to leave it attached. All right. And I'm just putting these pins on here for taking photos so that it lays nice and flat. All right. So here we are. We've got 4 rows. Now we're ready to do row 5. All right. So we've already chained 1, and make sure at the end of this row that you stitched over your white yarn, because we changed to our white yarn because we're going to do 2 solid rows of single crochet in white. All right, so go in that first stitch again, because remember our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, And now we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of our single crochets, working all the way across this row. And then at the end of this row, we're going to chain 1, turn, and repeat, and stitch another row of single crochet all the way across. And this will give us 2 solid rows of single crochet. All right, so 1 single crochet in each for row 4, and then repeat that for row 5. Just 2 rows of solid single crochet in our color 1. So I have completed row 5 and 6, which was just 1 single crochet in each across with our color 1, which was white. All right, so we're going to chain 1. And on this row, we're going to be putting in the stems of our clovers. I've got my green here ready to go. All right, so we're going to stitch a single crochet in the first 4. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to start our 4th one and bring in our green. And we're just going to do 1 stitch in green. Let's drop that tail there. There we go. And now we're going to just do 1 single crochet in green. So we're going to switch right back to our white. All right, so now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to switch to our green, stitch 1, and switch back to our white. And see those pops of green? Those will be the stems of our clovers. All right, so 5 single crochets in our color 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Change to our green, 1 single crochet in our green, change back to our white, and remember to stitch over those yarns trailing across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, switch to our green, 1 single crochet in the green, switch back to our white, and then we stitch 1 single crochet, and you can drop your green right there, okay? Don't cut it off, just drop it, and we'll stitch 1 single crochet in these last 4 single crochet stitches in our color 1, and then we'll go ahead and chain 1. We are a little twisty here, so we'll move that out of the way there. And this is how it should look. 4 single crochets in white, 1 in green, then 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, and then 4 single crochets in white. And now we're all set up to put our pretty clovers in. All right, now we're ready to stitch the clovers. And we're going to be doing this over the next 2 rows. So we've chained 1, we're going to turn our work. We're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Pull our yarn to the back, grab our green. All right, and so what we're going to do in this next single crochet is stitch a 3 double crochet cluster. So yarn over, go in that 4th single crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just go through the first 2. And we're going to do that 2 more times in this same stitch. It'll look like you have 3 unfinished double crochets. Yarn over and go through all 3. Okay? Now we're going to single crochet in that single crochet where we stitched the green single crochet, and push that to the front, that cluster stitch. And now we're going to go in the next stitch and stitch another one. 1, 2, 3 unfinished double crochets, only this time we're going to grab our white yarn to finish that cluster. All right, and we'll just push this forward and stitch a single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, before we go on, this is the back of our work. So if you look in the front, you can see we have 3 double crochet cluster stitches. All right. All right, so now we're just going to stitch a single crochet in the next 2. 1, 2. Now we'll switch to our green again, and we'll repeat what we did here over here. So a 3 double crochet cluster in the next single crochet, push it forward and single crochet in that single crochet where we have the green single crochet, and then the next stitch will be another 3 double crochet cluster. 1, 2, and 3. See, it looks like we have 3 unfinished double crochets, only we'll finish this one with our white. Okay, and we're going to repeat what we just did 2 more times. So we'll single crochet in the next 3 with our white, switch to our green, and a 3 double crochet cluster in the next. Single crochet and then a single crochet cluster in the next. 3 double crochet clusters. If I call them singles, they're not singles, they're 3 double crochet clusters because it looks like we have 3 unfinished double crochets. One, 2, 3 single crochets, change to our green, and we'll do one more set of those. All right, I need to do one more of the 3 double crochet cluster. 1, 2, and 3. Oops. There we go. Bring our white yarn up, bring our green yarn to the back, and 1 single crochet in each of those 3. And chain 1. Okay, so here's the back of our work, how it looks. Then we turn it over, and you can see how we have the 2 bottom petals of our 4-leaf clovers. Now we're ready for row 9, and on row 9 we're going to make the top portion of those 4-leaf clovers. All right, so we're going to single crochet in the first 3 single crochets with our color 1. Now we're going to bring in our color 2. We're going to skip the 2 double crochet cluster and go to the single crochet in between, and we're going to stitch a 3 double crochet cluster in that single crochet. Chain 1, and then we're going to go right back in that same single crochet and stitch another 3 double crochet cluster. This time we're going to change to our white. And we're going to move down here. We're going to skip this double crochet cluster and move down here and stitch 3 single crochets. 1, 2. But before we do that, I want to show you. You can just pop those out and that becomes a 3D clover. Isn't that cute? All right, so we're going to do the next one. Again, we're going to change to our green. We're going to skip over here to that single crochet and stitch a 3 double crochet cluster. Chain 1 and another 3 double crochet cluster in that same single crochet. And again, we're going to end with that white and stitch 1 single crochet in the next 3. Push those clusters up front so you can see how they look. All right, so I've got 1 more single crochet. There we go. And again, we'll change to our green and skip over to that single crochet and stitch a 3 double crochet cluster. Chain 1 and then another 3 double crochet cluster in that same single crochet. And we'll change to the white yarn again. 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Change to the green, and we'll do this 1 more time. Alrighty, we chained 1 more, 3 double crochet cluster. And with our white, and then 1 single crochet in those last 3. 1, 2, and 3. And chain 1. And just push those clusters up so those 4-leaf clovers pop right out. So we have 4 4-leaf clovers, 3 single crochets in between and at the beginning and end of each. Now we're all done with our clovers and we're ready to do 2 rows of single crochet just in our white yarn. All right, so I've chained 1. We're going to turn our work. You're going to single crochet in the first 3. We're going to place 1 single crochet in the top of our cluster stitch, 1 in the chain 1 in between, and 1 in the cluster stitch. Then we'll stitch 1 single crochet in the 3 in between. All right, so 1 single crochet in the cluster stitch, 1 single crochet in the chain 1 space, 1 single crochet in the cluster stitch, and 1 single crochet in the 3 in between. Really simple. I'm going to turn this over though so you can see, and then you just push those shamrocks back up and it just looks beautiful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this row of single crochet. Remember, 1 in a cluster stitch, 1 in the chain 1, 1 in the cluster stitch, and then 1 in each of those 3. Super duper simple. If you got this far, you got past the hard part. The clovers were the hard part, but they're so worth it because they're so pretty. All right, so I'm at those last 3. Oh, got a tangle there. Chain 1 and turn, and it's going to look like this. So you need to push your clovers up just like that. And of course this next row will help with that, because all we're going to do on row 11 is just 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets all the way across. Alrighty. And we'll just finish that across. 1 single crochet in each, and you should have 27 single crochets on both of those 2 rows, row 10 and row 11. So we have completed row 10 and 11, just 2 rows of solid white single crochet. And so now what we're going to do for row 12 and 13 and 14 and 15 is we're just going to repeat this section here up here. So I've got my orange out. Chain 1, we're going to turn our work. 1 single crochet in the next 3. Change to our orange. Make sure you pull your tails to the back. There we go. And now we'll have orange in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and change, just like we did for these 4 rows. So you're going to repeat for row 12 through 15, 12, 13, 14, 15, you're going to repeat rows 1 through 4 up here. All right, we know how to do this. We've already done it. So we'll just repeat them, making our checkerboard. All right, so we're repeating row 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for our checkerboard pattern. So I have repeated those 4 rows that we did just like we did these 2 down here. Alternated the rows. They look really cute, doesn't it? I just love how that looks. All right, so now we are done with our orange and our white. I've already cut off the white. Let's cut off the orange, and we're going to bring in our green. And we're going to finish the top of the washcloth in green, and then we'll put the trim on. All right, so what we're going to do is bring in our green, chain 1, turn our work, and now we're going to just stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets across. And we're going to be doing 2 row repeat here for the remainder of the top of our washcloth. And so we're going to be doing a row of single crochet like we're doing, and then we'll do a row of back loop only in double crochet stitches, and we'll be repeating those 2 rows for the remainder of the top of our washcloth. All right, so I'm just going to stitch a row here of single crochets all the way across in our green yarn. And I'm really loving this vintage green. It's really pretty for this project, along with that papaya orange, but it would, like I said, be really pretty in bright colors as well. All right, so I'm almost across. Oops, there we go. There's our last 3. So we have a row of single crochet, then we're going to chain 3, turn our work, and this is the front of our work now. See how those clover stitches are just popping right out? I just love it. And you may have to push them out a little bit. All right, so for row 17, we're going to place a double crochet in the back loop only. Now our chain 3 here counts as our first stitch, so we begin in the second stitch. And we're going to stitch a double crochet in each of those back loops only of our single crochet row. Alrighty. And see how that looks? You'll have that ridge right there. And it looks super pretty. And it gives us just a little bit of texture because we're going to be repeating these 2 rows. And that extra little ridge there will give us a little bit of texture if we actually want to use this as a washcloth, but I think it's just too pretty that it really just needs to be a decoration. All right, so I'll continue this the rest of the way across this row. 1 double crochet in each of the back loops of our row of single crochet. All right, so we have 1 row of single crochet in the green, then we have 1 row of double crochet stitched in the back loop only in green as well. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat these 2 rows 3 more times. So you'll do another row of just regular single crochet, then you'll do another row of the double crochet stitched in the back loop only, just like we did here for 16 and 17. So you're going to repeat rows 16 and 17 3 more times, alternating the rows. So I have completed those repeats 1, 2, 3 times, and you can see those ridges. Looks really nice. So now it brings us to the trim. All right. And so we're going to chain 1 and we're going to work down the side of our row. Now make sure you're working on the front of your work, okay? And we're going to begin by evenly stitching down the side, stitching single crochets. And I am staying with my green, all right? So we're going to go in this first stitch and we're going to stitch in the sides of the stitches, not in the holes. We want a nice even look. And there's not a set amount of stitches that you need. You just need to make sure they're not too close and not too far apart. You don't want them bunching up, but you also don't want there to be big spaces in between. So you want them to look nice and neat. Let me bring this down a little bit. All right. Going in the sides of the stitches. There we go. All right, so we're just going to continue working down the sides of the stitches. And then in each of our 4 corners, we need to place a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. All right, and that's going to make it move around that corner nice and neatly. Well, let me get down here and I'll show you. Oopsie, there we go. Sometimes that yarn wants to just jump right off my crochet hook. Bring this down a little bit. Alrighty. So we're almost to this corner. There we go. All right, so I'm right in the corner here. So I'm going to stitch a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet right in that corner. And then of course down here we have those chains that we began with that we can stitch into, but I want to show you how that moves around that corner nice and neatly. All right, so I'm going to finish going around my washcloth, and then I'm going to do the next row. So we stitch evenly single crochets all the way around. We stitch a single crochet, chain one single crochet in each of the 4 corners, and then join back to our first single crochet. So I've completed that single crochet evenly row all the way around, and we placed a single crochet, chain one single crochet in each of our 4 corners, and then I joined back here. I'm going to go ahead and cut my green because we're done with that. And the last row we're just going to bring in the white and do this really simple trim. You just single crochet, chain one, skip one, and single crochet in the next. Chain one, skip one, single crochet in the next. Chain one, skip one, single crochet in the next. It's just a simple trim to add a little pop of color without being too fussy. Single crochet, chain one, skip one. And we'll just do this all the way around all 4 sides of our washcloth. So I have finished the trim on my washcloth. Single crochet, chain one, skip one, all the way around. It adds that nice pop of white around the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I do have a little bit of weaving in to do on this side here. Pull that to the back and weave that in. But for the most part, my washcloth is done. So I have completed my Lucky Clover washcloth. It measures about 10 by 10 inches, perfect size for using, for scrubbing dishes, for putting in the bathroom, or just using as decoration. I really love it, and I think the star of this washcloth are these puffy clovers. They're a little tricky to do, but you can do it. I know you can. All right, well, that's our video for today, and I'll see you next time.